Yvonne. Welcome back to The Shift. We're so glad you're here. It's Monday. Normally we do these on Thursdays, but because Thursday is a holiday, we wanted to go live today and just check in with all of you and see how your holiday break is going. Yeah, and Kate's here. How are you doing, Kate?
Yeah, hello everyone. Happy week between Christmas for those that celebrate in New Year's. I know this week can be such an interesting week. It's like, what day is it? Yesterday felt like Saturday and Monday at the same time, but it was Sunday. And yeah, I know this just can feel, sometimes like a little disorienting. Sometimes it can be a really welcomed feeling, like a relief, like, oh, we're just unplugged a bit. We're taking time off. So yeah, wherever you are right now in your experience, we're just so happy to have you here. If you're joining us live, feel free to tune into the chat and just let us know where you're joining from. We'd love to hear from you. And yeah, we're really, really excited for today's topic. We're going to be, talking about something really important and kind of just weaving in and framing it in the context of the new year. Because we know for many of you high achievers, maybe some of you are already thinking about New Year's intentions and goals. For some of you, maybe you're doing a vision board or you're journaling intentions for the year. For some of you, maybe you're like really unplugged and you're not there just yet, but like next week you're going to be in that mindset. And so, we hope that today's conversation can just really meet you where you are, wherever you are right now. So I'm going to turn it back over to Laura, who's going to kick us off for our conversation today.
Yeah, thanks, Kate. And actually, I want to just pause there for just a moment. I'd love for you just what Kate just named right now, I'd love for you to drop a 1 in the chat if you're watching live or if you're on the replay right now. Are you already thinking about your intentions for the new year? Maybe you've already started, like Kate was saying, probably seeing a lot of posts right now on it. Even if you hear the word new year, you hear the word goal, maybe you hear 2026. What are you noticing? Maybe there's one word showing up, or there's like a sensation or a color or a temperature. Yeah, so we'll just take 5 seconds here. Just tune in here. Just notice what's the first thing that pops in. Yeah, and if you feel like sharing, you can drop it in the chat. Or maybe if you're in the second camp that Kate mentioned earlier just now, like you're not there yet. Like you're still just really enjoying this like time off, like wrapping up 2025. So maybe drop a 2 in the chat if that's you. Like I'm not there yet. And there's no right or wrong here. It's just simply like I have a plan. Maybe you have it on your mind to do this after the first of the year. You still have your holiday decorations up. You're still really kind of, just really celebrating this season. So drop a 2 if that's where you are. Yeah, beautiful. It's always just nice to just check in, like, where are we, right? What is showing up right now for me? And just that little pause you just did right now, and just that, like, just checking in, like, am I in this camp today, or am I more in camp 2? And just noticing and attuning you completed something, and we're celebrating you. Yeah, so we're excited to drop into this topic today. As Kate was referencing, right, we're getting into this aspect of the new year and, goals and intentions and desires that we have for the new year. And for some of you, you're business owners, if you're already thinking about the next quarter, income, revenue goals, clients that you want to serve, the impact you want to have. And that is so amazing, right? It can be such an exciting, kind of refreshing time, particularly if you felt like the last maybe few months or even this past year has felt maybe a bit heavy, or maybe there were some things that you had goals, but they didn't quite come out the way you had expected. I know sometimes God can surprise us with different things, and or maybe it did, you did accomplish the goal, but it felt harder or heavier than you really wanted it to feel. I did it, but it really took a lot of just efforting. So just taking a moment to even reflect on that for just a second, just where how this past year has even felt, and kind of what is just again, a color, a word, or an image, or a sensation. And there might be more than one, of course. Yeah. Again, just bringing awareness to where your system is and in regards to the association of 2025. Yeah, and even just noticing like those things from 2025, like, maybe there are some things you want to move into in 2026 that feel like, yeah, I just really want to leave that behind. Like, I really just want to like put that somewhere else and just like really like move forward. So even just noticing if that part's showing up a little bit, there might be a part of our system that's like really just wants to like, yeah, just like move ahead. Let's just put that behind us and just move ahead. Yeah. I'll just pause there and just ask Kate before I dive into like more of this topic. What are you noticing coming up for you, Kate? As I feel like you were really deep into that. I want to just pause with you.
Thanks for asking, Laura. Yeah, it's interesting. There was a bunch of things coming through at first when you first started prompting and inviting that. I kind of felt, it was a little bit of an image, but it was more of a feeling, kind of this like swirling spiral upward motion when you were inviting in like 2026 in the new year. And my body actually leaned back and started to feel like more at ease, more comfortable, which is interesting because my mental mind is like, usually like my nervous system orients to like going and doing and more, less leaning back, more leaning forward. But my body was actually responding differently than my mind was thinking or maybe associating with it. So I just want to invite in that too and normalize that if you were having like one part of you that was responding one way and another part of you that was responding another way, that makes total sense. And so for me, that was showing up. And then I was having a reflection, and I know Laura and you and I have talked about this in the past with both our neurosomatic students and our regulated CEO mastermind cohort this past summer, which is sometimes our nervous system, right, can associate things and start to reassociate things based on our past experiences. And so I know for me, the end of the year was always this really interesting, like bittersweet time where it was like, okay, we've hit our goals for the year. And just for those of you that don't know this about me, before I started my business almost 10 years ago, I worked in corporate America for a really large bank, and I worked in sales. I was a financial services. I was basically helping companies with their cash flow, and I was selling really large, complex solutions to organizations. And so I was in this revenue, like I had a revenue number attached to my goals, and that was like my main job was to sell these services. And so at the end of the year, we would get everything in order. It's like, yes, we would hit our goals, or there was, I think, pretty much every year I would always hit my goal. But then it felt like, now we're starting from zero again. Like we're starting from zero in the new year. And it just felt very like, just like a little bit of that sensation that like we've made it. And instead of being able to like carry momentum forward, it kind of always felt like stop. And then we have to start from this like stopped position again. And a lot of that, again, just had to do with the nature of the role I was in. And so I kind of carried that energy forward through a lot of the years where I was just working in my own business for myself, where it was like, okay, here we are again. Now we got to like start from scratch. And I think like the last maybe 2 or 3 years were the first couple years where I was able to like rewire past that and not feel that way. And for me, actually, a lot of what I do, I tend to like not make a big deal about the new year now. It doesn't work for my nervous system. I feel like springtime and even around my birthday in the summertime for me tends to be more of an appropriate time to like kind of reflect and maybe set some intentions. And for me, it's like wintertime just doesn't feel like the best time to do that. And so I try to kind of like not follow like we have to do this because everyone else is doing it, and just really tune into what feels best for my body. But for a lot of years I fought that, and I would like force myself to do a vision board, and it felt really performative and it looked really nice. But the last couple years that I would do it before I really was able to kind of just kind of come over from this pattern, I remember like sitting down and feeling so much resistance to like putting the vision board together and doing that exercise, but I kind of like pushed through and did it anyway because I felt like I had to do it and everyone else was doing it and posting about it and sharing, and that's all great, like if it works for you. But I know for me, that was something I started to kind of wake up to. Like I had more of an awareness around my body is responding in this way that doesn't feel right. So why am I doing this? And then I was able to like really get real with myself. So I just had some of those like memories and reflections that were coming up for me, Laura, as you were sharing.
Yeah, thanks for sharing all those, Kate. And yeah, I'd love to hear in the chat for those of you that are here live or even watching the replay, if you drop something like a 1 or just say yes, like if you resonate with some of what Kate was just sharing just now. Maybe you resonated with the part of, oh, the starting over. Like, oh, okay, I ended the year. It was great. Like maybe you really did hit a lot of your goals. I know for many of you, you do hit those goals. You're highly accomplished. Like you love checking things off your list. So maybe it felt like, oh, like, but now it feels like almost like, okay, I'm starting over. So maybe for some of you that could actually feel like almost, I'm trying to think of the word here, Kate, but just like
Overwhelming. Like
overwhelming, like, or stalled, or like something. It's like, oh, I got to do it all over again. Right. Maybe even exhausting on some level or something. Right. And maybe for some of you, it's the opposite. Like, oh, I'm really excited to start over because maybe there were some things this year that just didn't quite land the way you wanted them to land. And it feels like now is like a clean slate and again, a fresh start. So it's like, okay, now I can like get the momentum going. Right. So yeah, again, no right or wrong here, but just simply noticing like what's showing up for you as Kate was kind of sharing that more personal story that I can definitely feel like probably some of you are relating to. Yeah, beautiful. So I want to just take a kind of getting back to like what our topic today, which is all correlated to everything that like we've been sharing so far. But I want to name something for just a moment. And as you're hearing this, there's a couple ways you can kind of take this in right now. Maybe first of all, just noticing, maybe what thoughts show up for you as I'm naming some of this. Or maybe again, there's a sensation that you notice in your bodies. Maybe you are really connected to like sensations or like temperatures. Or even just like maybe how your body, like Kate was referencing earlier, like how she noticed herself leaning back. So maybe for you, you notice like your posture change as you're taking this in, or maybe you're finding yourself wanting to take notes. So again, I want to just invite you to just notice what shows up for you. So I want to just name that, especially as we're heading into this new year, we're turning the calendar page, even though we are still in winter. So that's a whole other topic for another day. But technically, right, we're going into 2026. And I kind of want to name like where nervous system work can like begin to fail kind of quietly. And I'll talk more about that in just a moment. But it's not because something is wrong. It's not because you're doing something incorrectly, but because part of like even like these intentions that we're setting and things are still coming from this cognitive state of mind, right? We're not, for a lot of us, and there's nothing wrong or bad about this, but like we've been taught to set these goals and these intentions from our mental mind. And we're not really taking into account our nervous systems, which is the capacity our system has for these goals, right? Does my system have the space or the capacity to hold what it is that my mind is wanting to call in or bring in for the new year, particularly when pressure starts to return. So like when I start to notice the pressure kind of ramp up again, because it will, right? Like as we know, as we're stepping into something new, or even just, like wanting to grow or expand our income or impact or whatever it might be for you, our relationships, right? There's going to be some tension along the way. There is going to be something where we're going to feel some type of pressure. So I want to just pause for just a moment and just have you just kind of just see where that lands for you as I'm naming that. That it's not really your mind that's like creating the intention. Like, yes, your mind can create the intention, but really it's your nervous system that is the one that's driving whether or not like you are going to meet that goal or meet that intention based on its capacity. maybe just take a moment and just even notice, like, if there's been goals or things that you've mentally put together in the past. And same thing, like maybe it took a lot of effort. Like you technically accomplished it, but it took a lot of just like effort and like pushing and like performance on an everyday level. Or I felt like you weren't really settled ever. It just felt like, okay, I'm doing it, I'm doing the work, right? But I'm just like really pushing myself. I'm in this like almost like a little bit of like fight or flight, right? Where we're just like, we feel a lot of mobilization. Like, I just got to get this done. So we're getting it done, but it's not from this like settled place. So type a one in the chat if that's something where you know, it's like, I've accomplished the goal. I wrote everything down. I have the vision board, whatever it is. I accomplished it, but it came with a lot of performative energy, a lot of pushing through. Yeah. And if that's you, I want to just go ahead, Kate. Go ahead.
I was going to say, and I want to normalize too, for some of you, you might, like this might be a little bit of a newer exploration. Like I know for me in the past, when I was in that place, it was such a part of my identity that it was hard for me to even observe it. Right? Like there was, like if this was the performative pattern and this was me, like my authentic me, it was like, it was here. They were like one and the same, if that makes sense. Like that's how close it was. And that's how overly identified I was in that pattern. So if that's you today, that's okay. Right? Like even just hearing this conversation might be planting a seed for it to like, even if it's just like 1/8 of an inch, just a little bit of space. And then for some of you, maybe you've been noticing this for some time. Like maybe you really identified with what I was sharing earlier. Like, yeah, the last couple years I sit down to do the vision board. Like it just feels like I'm pushing through. It doesn't feel right. Like maybe for you, there's a couple inches or maybe even a foot of space between you and that pattern. So I just want to take like 30 seconds just to notice. And if you want to close your eyes and do this, or you can keep them open with just a gentle, soft gaze, kind of just looking down towards the floor. Like maybe you just even notice like, where is my authentic me? And how close is this pattern? This like pushing through, this performing, this like letting the mind always lead. And again, that's not wrong or bad, but just see if you can notice like how close that pattern is. Yeah, you might notice it like out in front of you or to the side, or you might even notice it somewhere like in your body. There might be a sensation showing up. And so one of my favorite parts about this work is there's no like right or wrong way. Like we just get to observe what is showing up for us right now. Yeah, just anything you're noticing, Laura?
Yeah, so thank you just for pausing and just naming that, Kate, because you're so right. It's like sometimes it can feel just so close that it almost like feels like it is just part of our identity, or it is just like who we are, right? And I one thing I was just noticing coming up for me, and this has come up like just in different flavors throughout the years, but like for me, like in terms of like this performative like aspect of my nervous system, it comes up as like this aspect of, am I doing it right? Like there would be kind of like this deeper like, and it took me some time to like really unpack this, but like I remember just even before I was like really deep into this work, I would consistently have this thought, am I doing it right? Like, am I going to get the outcome right? Like that I am seeking here. Did I say the right thing? Did I act in the right way? Did I have the right strategy? Like this whole aspect of, am I getting it right? And it felt, I remember even when I had those thoughts, like I would just feel immediately, like my shoulders would just kind of like rise up to my ears, and I would just feel almost like this bracing. And there was like a part of my system that was always just a little bit braced for something. Yeah. And it's just like, I did already say a name, like I think even getting like when we talk about goals or even intentions for like the new year, like it's been really just interesting to observe how that part of my system has really shifted over the years, and there's been less of that noise of, am I getting it right? And it's really been through this work that, you and I lead like with our students, but like doing it personally and with another person, getting that co-regulation and was huge for me. Getting out of my own head, getting out of my own kind of self, and have someone else kind of holding and reflecting and adding structure and containment to what I was experiencing, and actually even like kind of taking me through, which I love you, what you just did demonstrated for all of us just now, Kate. It was like you said, there's no like formula, there's no like specific way to do it, and at the same time, there's also a sequence to our system.
Yeah.
And so like being able to kind of like observe that sequencing and have something being able to observe like, when to pause or when to, kind of push forward a little bit more, like that is all like part of this process too. So there is a little bit of there is a hierarchy. There still is a kind of like a structure and a containment to the work. And that containment was actually what allowed my system to finally like be able to like rest, to be able to actually recover, to be able to actually finally accomplish I guess in my set of beliefs, like I don't really believe that I'm accomplishing it. I feel like God is the one that's like leading the show, but like there's definitely steps that we need to take in terms of like things he's directing us towards. But I remember just different times where I would hear his voice, and I would again, like there'd be part of me is like, in this like braced position. And now like when I'm hearing that direction because of this work, it's like I feel less of that bracing. Like there's so much more like trust. And just like, it feels like sometimes it's still hard, but there's still a sense of being settled.
Yeah. Wow, Laura, thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, that all makes so much sense, right? Like when we're under pressure, whether we consciously can name that pressure or maybe we're just unconsciously feeling it, our nervous system defaults to its most reliable survival strategies. And sometimes we don't even recognize them as survival strategies because we've just lived with that experience for so long, right? Like oftentimes since childhood. And so again, that's when we like that over identification starts to happen and we think, well, this is just how it is, right? Like this is just how I am, or this is just how the world is. But I love that you brought God into the conversation, because then it's like, for me, and I know for you, having like such similar beliefs in our faith, it's like then we can pause and say, is this what God really wants for me? Like, does he really want me pushing and overworking and feeling this tension like pretty much all the time? And I can now confidently answer like, no, that is not what he wants for me. That's not how he designed us. But I know for me, before really doing this work, it was even hard for me to really hear his voice in a really clear,
100%
intentional way, right? Especially in like the mainstream, more new age culture where we put this over emphasis on like the self, and like we're manifesting it, we're making it happen. And God gave us free will. Like obviously we co-create with him in that process. We can't just sit back and do nothing. That's not what he wants for us either. But yeah, it's just interesting. Like as I reflect, as you share, for me, it was even hard to hear his voice until I did a certain amount of this work. And I say certain amount, like there's no like right or magic number or formula per se, but it's definitely, I hit this point where once I had really gone inward and supported those parts of me enough and built enough trust in my system, it was like, then there was so much more spaciousness to really trust the one who deserves all of our trust, which is God.
Oh, I love that you're naming this, Kate. And for those of you who are watching, we'd love to hear from you, of course, like what's showing up for you. And like in this conversation right now, maybe you're really resonating with some of what we're sharing, like you're feeling a sensation in your body, or you just like feel like you want to move right now, or like stand up, or like stretch in some capacity. I know stretching feels really good for me right now. Or maybe, like maybe you're just like, again, maybe there's just this sense of like this internal yes, or maybe like some of this is not quite like landing for you yet. And that's okay too. Like where there is, again, like we're not saying, you need to be in full agreement with everything that we're sharing right in this moment, but we're just offering this like kind of this doorway. Right. And I love that you named that, Kate, because I that's definitely something I resonate with as well. And one thing about the manifestation piece, I just want to name, because I feel like this word is going to get thrown out a lot right now because of it is the beginning of the year, or we're starting this new year, and it's like, hey, manifesting your best, like 2026. The one kind of thing that I noticed, at least for myself personally, and sometimes with my clients, when it came to this word like manifestation, it sounds really empowering. And then the other piece of it, though, is that it's all on you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's kind of interesting, right? Because there's this part of us that wants relief from the pressure. And yet there's another part of us that's actually taking on more pressure, more responsibility. Like, I'm going to make this happen.
Because that's what feels safe, right?
Exactly.
Like when our lived
Exactly.
experience is that when
I'm
I
going to
take
control
the
it. Yeah.
reins and something like I'm making something happen. And when you have a history of evidence that works,
Exactly.
then your
Yeah.
system associates that with safety. So it's like, well, your system, it's like, well, why wouldn't I choose that? This is working. Even if you're getting to that place where you're questioning if it's really working,
Yeah.
or if it's really supporting the life and the business and the relationships and the things that you really want and the way that you want them, your system still associates that with being the most familiar.
Exactly.
And our system will always associate what's most familiar with the safest choice until we teach it that there's another option.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, you really, you're so spot on, Laura, with that word manifestation. It's like one part of us is like so ready to not be the one holding it all. But then our system's like, well, what would I choose if I didn't choose this?
Yep.
What would I choose? So of course I'm going to choose that. So it's our job, or our, like we get this invitation, if we're feeling the call to this, to pause and to get curious about, what would I choose? Like, what could that look like?
Yeah.
What would that look, and even if it's just 1%, right? We don't have to like dive into this new different reality that we've never experienced before. But a lot of this is just like, can I just get curious about what that might be like?
Yeah. Oh, I love that invitation, Kate. And that's usually like how it goes, like you said, like, and how God even wants us to experience this is like in little amounts so that it can actually stick, right? So just these small like invitations, like 1% of just like getting curious and just seeing. But like, just even getting curious, like that word manifestation, like what does that bring up for you? Or what do you notice in that? And maybe like you said, there's a sense of like empowerment, or like, just this like energy that you get buzzing in your body or something. So noticing that, but then, again, the other piece of this is just, to also notice is that, but then there's also, again, comes this aspect of responsibility, right? Like I'm the one that's like creating this, or I'm the one that's like making this happen. And just noticing your relationship to that, like, how does that feel? And one other thing I want to name too, because like part of what we're talking about too in this topic today, Kate, is like, I know also just, for me, and sometimes I say this with my clients as well, is like, and I'm naming this as a behavior, not like something with the person, but like, for myself or even my clients, but like nervous system work and like relying on all these tools, right, to like regulate ourselves. And so that we can then, right, like perform and like get to the goal. And so this is where I think you and I see like this big gap, right, of like just relying on all these tools, which again, the tools can be helpful, absolutely. But again, if we're approaching it from this performative place, from this place of I got to push through, again, I got to make this happen. There's like, again, this sense of like anxiety or urgency that's underneath that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to be sustainable. Like the thing that, that we are, and that's a whole other topic we can get into later, Kate, but just like this piece around like, okay, we have it, but then we like pushed for it, we performed for it, but then it doesn't really stay.
Yeah.
Right. And so then it doesn't stay. And then we're constantly just kind of still in that cycle of like trying to get it again. And so it never really lands. It never really stays with us. And this is what kind of keeps us in this perpetual state of unease.
Yeah. I want to let that land for everyone tuning in here. Like, just notice. Yeah. Like as Laura was naming that, like, is there, just a sensation in your body that you're noticing, or maybe you're noticing a lot of thoughts right now, or maybe even an emotion that's starting to kind of bubble up to the surface. I know for me, when you were naming that, I was seeing some faces of some just beautiful, amazing clients that I've worked with in the past that, would work so intentionally and pour their hearts, especially from a business perspective, into, working with certain clients or getting a certain amount of visibility or doing certain things in their business. And then it was like there was so much adrenaline and survival into the getting it.
Yep.
And at the time when they kind of came into that work, it was like there was not even really any awareness around, well, what happens once I have it? And I even had, there was one client in particular that I'm thinking of, and she's an amazing person, just a really fantastic human being with a huge heart and a beautiful mission. But she was like in this cycle of the going after things and the reaching the goal, but then nothing would sustain. And she was always in rebuilding mode. She was every year she was rebuilding. She was like going back and changing her vision statement and her mission statement and her website and all these tactical things that were taking her energy and focus away from the heart of what really needed attention, which was that pattern underneath, which for her wasn't even just her own pattern. A lot of it was generational and things that she was carrying from just her family lineage and their kind of family story of lived experiences where it didn't feel safe to have and sustain the thing that she was most wanting and desiring and really needing, right? There was certain things that was, from a financial perspective and a security perspective, very much a need for her. And so, and that's like, we can really unpack that. I think that'd be a really fun topic for 2026, Laura, which is like the nervous system patterns behind getting and achieving and then actually sustaining.
Yep.
Because I see a lot of high achievers that are in that, like, focused on the getting and less in the cultivation of keeping and cultivating and really nurturing what's already there.
Yeah. Oh, that's such a great point, Kate. And I love that you posed that. And thank you also just for speaking to that client of yours. I feel like I know there's been points where I've been there. My nervous system has been there. So I definitely can, just really feel that. And also I've definitely seen that with my clients as well. Yeah. And it's so beautiful though that she stepped into this work with you though, so that she could finally start to rewire some of that so she could actually sustain, because that's really our goal, right? Like, we don't just want the thing, right? That we want to be able to sustain it. And that's really the question we want to leave you with here today. A couple questions. One is like, it's not really like necessarily what do I want for 2026? 2026 is what is my nervous system built to sustain? So the what do I want is like, that's a great question. That's fine. Like, that's beautiful, but like, that's not step one. Like, that's kind of like, I would call it almost like an entry level question, right? But if we want to go deeper, and you're someone that like loves to go deep, if you're tuning into these shift calls, like you're someone that's like an expert already in some ways, like you are someone that has accomplished things and like, you have clarity, you're not confused all the time. And like, you move, you act, things like that. So that's all beautiful. So like, what is your nervous system built to sustain in 2026? What is God preparing you to actually sustain in 2026? And the other piece I want to name here is that part of sustainment is capacity, right? Again, we talked about that nervous system capacity. So not necessarily more tools, but the actual real capacity in your nervous system. And one of the ways we get capacity is through containment, is through a structure, is through co-regulation. And it is through, it is through some aspect of I don't want to say a framework, but it's like something to kind of, again, like hold us, right? So this is what we teach a lot of and what you embody in Neurosomatics, which is our nervous system certification program, which will be kicking off in the springtime, which like Kate was just referencing earlier, kind of feels like more like the beginning of the new year. But yeah, like this is something that we really teach our students. And what's so beautiful we've witnessed after countless cohorts now is like the ability of our students to be able to sustain things, like you said, sustain the income, sustain the impact, sustain their relationships and connections, and really be present, and like all the things that we desire and we say we want, but like actually have that lived out in their everyday lives, and actually again like have it stick, because again they have that capacity, and that all came through what they experienced and learned in neurosomatics. So yeah, just something I wanted to just speak to as well.
Yeah. Oh, Laura. Yeah. So I'm seeing so many faces of our past students and just reflecting on, yeah, just all of the beauty and the peace and the joy and the fulfillment and the depth of what they've been able to create in their lives. But to your point, it's not just about the creation, which we tend to, like overemphasize in our mainstream modern day culture, but it's in the creation, yes, but it's also in the sustaining of that. Yep. And allowing whatever was created to evolve in the way that, that we believe that like God intends that to evolve for you, and just really to allow your personal mission and our collective mission here of like why we're all here together on this planet at this time, to unfold in a way that really is going to just serve and impact people, whether it's yourself, your family unit, your clients, your amazing business that you're building and creating and growing and scaling, and the community that you live in. But like, yeah, on a larger level, we know that like the ripple effect is real, and that gets, just invited in when we really say yes to this work, and when we are really intentional about how we show up in the work. So yeah, we're just so excited and so honored that you all are here with us. For those of you that maybe are still here with us live, if there's, just like one word that you're feeling now, or that you're even just noticing, and maybe it's not a word, maybe it's like an image or a sensation or a color. Yeah, just noticing, like as we're winding down this conversation and we're talking about sustaining what we're creating and really what's already here, just noticing what's showing up for you now. Maybe even taking just a moment, like just 10 seconds to notice anything that shifted for you over these last 30 minutes or so. Or if you're tuning in kind of midway, like, just what shifted since I started tuning into this conversation. Maybe your posture looks a little different right now. Maybe there's something you're noticing now that you weren't even able to notice before. Maybe your breath has shifted just a little bit. Maybe something feels, a little more open, a little more spacious. Or maybe for you today, it feels like you're more anchored. You feel like you can really feel the weight of the chair or the floor supporting you, or the ground, wherever you're standing or sitting. Or maybe for you today, it feels more like levity. It feels like lightness is what's present. So just noticing any shifts. And this work, as Laura shared earlier, like God designed it to be in these 1% shifts. That's what makes it sustainable. In this work, we actually call that titration, which is, just a fancy word for meaning small little sips over time. And so the shift doesn't have to be this big, obvious, huge shift. I always say small hinges move big doors. Small hinges open big doors. And in this work, the shifts are often subtle. The most subtle shifts often allow us to experience the most potent and sustainable change and transformation and impact. Anything you're noticing, Laura?
Yeah, I noticed that I'm feeling like more, like there's just more space, like in my breath. I'm just noticing like just deeper breaths are already just naturally happening. I feel like there's like less of what's the word? Like, again, I feel just more settled. I think that's the word. Again, like,
Mhm.
more settled. There's like a peace here. Like, I still feel motivation. I still feel like movement. Like, I want to move, but like, it's not coming from this feeling of being rushed. It's like
Mhm.
I'm just being very like, yeah, again, intentional in the steps. And as today, I also just like, as you were speaking to Kate, I have this beautiful palm tree outside my window, and I'm just like seeing the like palm fronds moving and it's like the blue sky. And so again, there's like movement, but it's like, it's just like just at the right pace, right? Like, I don't know, it feels like it's just like mimicking where my system is right now, where like there's movement, but it's like just the right amount where I'm not like rushing or trying to speed ahead. It's just like I can actually notice like the landscape around me and actually take in like what's
Yeah.
happening along the way.
Amazing. Oh,
Yeah.
thank you for sharing that, Laura. Well, my little 16-month-old just walked into the
Oh,
room. His name is Beckett. I don't share his face on camera, otherwise I would pick him up. But that's probably my cue.
yes.
Probably my cue.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so good to see you all today. Thank you for being here with us. And we hope you have a wonderful New Year's. And we look forward to seeing you in the new year. Bye for
Hi,
now.
everyone.